Is your patent worth filing? You won't know unless you do a search for prior art, whether your idea is already known. That's why I recommend a search to every client. It costs $500 to $800 before you spend thousands on a patent. I'm Sungo, a registered patent agent at patentstartup.com. I've started 3 companies, litigated my own patent and won a 7-figure settlement, and licensed my patents to my competitors. I've spent 20 years examining patents, so I know the difference between good and bad patents. In the next few minutes, I'll show you why a prior art search is the single best investment you can make before you file a patent. The Patent Office looks at everything published anywhere in the world, including patents from most major nations: Europe, China, India, Japan, Korea. When I run a search for a client, I search for the patent offices in those same major nations as well. Almost every time, we find relevant prior art, and almost every time, my clients had no idea that prior art was out there. After the search, I sit down with the client and go over the report, whether the idea is likely novel, weaker, or anticipated. If it's weaker, we look at what's out there and we figure out what novel feature you can build on top of something they don't have. That becomes the new core of your claim. We also discuss whether to file the patent at all. What I try to do is give my clients the facts so they can make the right decision. If this is useful, hit subscribe. I post one of these videos every week to help you protect your idea. Now let's talk numbers. A search costs about $500 to $800 depending on the complexity of the invention. The table shows a full utility patent for a small entity: drafting, filing, prosecution, and allowance, and the costs run upwards of $10,000. For a solo inventor or a startup with limited capital, that's serious money, and it's also your time pursuing the project. So my advice to my clients is do the search first so you're making the right decision. Let me show you what a real prior art search report actually looks like. To keep things confidential, I'm using one of my own patents as the example. There are a lot of different styles out there. My style is simple without too much legal jargons. That way, you understand what's already out there about your idea and you can decide what to do next with confidence. My patent was filed in October 2020. It's a cooling system for losing fat cells in a target area of the skin, abdomen, or thigh. When you freeze fat underneath the skin for an hour, the fat cells die and you lose them. My system uses a canister of air to cool a thermoelectric cooler below 0 Celsius. Other prior art uses water. Using air makes the system simpler to build, which reduces the cost and makes it easier to use. Now let me talk to you about Search Report. It has 5 sections. Let me walk you through each one. Section 1, Overview and Purpose. This describes the scope of your invention. Section 2, Invention Summary. I list every novel feature of your invention that I want to check against the prior art. This application has 9 novel features. Section 3, Prior Art References Reviewed. When I run a search, I usually find about 40 patents. I narrow that down to the 10 most relevant. I list each one with the patent number, the assignee, the similarity score, and the title. The most important item is the similarity score. It goes from 1 to 100. If you have a prior art with a score of 100, that's a problem. Look at the first reference. The search found my own application, similarity 100. That makes sense. It's the same patent. The second one is my first prototype, similarity 85. That makes sense too. The third one is the industry leader in this category, also 85. Below each reference, there's a write-up with the relevant text from that document and the differences from your invention, so you can see exactly which aspects overlap. Section 4, Feature by Feature Patentability Analysis. This is where I mark every novel feature with one of 3 labels. Likely novels not specifically disclosed in prior art, but may face an obviousness argument. Weaker, partially covered by the prior art. Anticipated, substantially covered by the prior art. In this table, of the 9 novel features, 5 are likely novels, 3 are weaker, and 1 is anticipated. Now I get this question from my clients all the time. Sung, my similarity score is 85, but I still have a lot of novel features. Why? Here's what's happening. The primary feature of your invention is usually already known. For example, freezing fat for an hour to kill fat cells. That's the main idea, and it's already in the prior art. But the narrower features around that primary feature are not. Those are what you can claim. They might sound narrow, but they're often the features that make the product useful and valuable. Here's the flip side. If you skip the search, you'll claim what's already known, and you'll waste thousands of dollars arguing with the examiner. That's why I tell my clients, searching is an investment, but it pays off in the long run. Section 5, Patentability Conclusions. Here, I take the 2 or 3 most relevant prior art references and walk through what I think the patent office will do with your application. I tell you what the strongest claim could look like to avoid the prior art, so the strength of the claim justifies the cost of the patent. I flag the key risks, especially if it's an AI-related invention where Section 101 abstract idea rejection is the biggest threat. If you want to go deeper on Section 101, I have a separate video on it, link in the description below. And finally, I give you my filing recommendation, provisional or non-provisional. Based on my experience, if you're new to patenting, I almost always recommend a provisional first. Your idea is going to change a few times. A provisional gives you 12 months to lock in your final system, then you file the non-provisional. That saves you money, and that money goes back into developing your product. The whole point of the search is to give you the facts to decide whether your idea is worth filing. I hope this walkthrough was helpful. There are other benefits to running a search, but that's another video. Caveat: a search is not a guarantee. Even with my best effort, I can miss prior art. A search reduces your risk significantly, but it doesn't eliminate it. So if you're an inventor or a startup founder thinking about filing, start with the search. That's exactly what our hybrid model is built for. We run the search and tell you whether your idea is good or not, and if it's worth filing. When you draft your application with AI, and we revise it so you end up with a quality patent at a lower cost. Visit www.patentstartup.com. Thank you.